All right, we already have 70 people in the room here and 30 people in YouTube. So I think we can begin. Carmen.
Hello, everyone. Okay, 1 second.
Everyone ready?
Okay, I think I'm good now. A little technical problem as always. Okay, so yeah, the room is getting full, so welcome everybody. My name is Carmen Staiano, and as I said, I'm gonna be your master of ceremonies today. So today we're gonna present this amazing webinar, Managing Machine Translation Teams, and we got 3 amazing guests from the industry, and I'm gonna present them right now. In the meanwhile, yeah, you can write in the chat where you're from. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Okay, the camera is getting emotional.
It's your first webinar, Carmen. Things happen like this.
Yes.
Let's give a small round of applause for Carmen, who is running the show today for the first time.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so machine translation teams are springing up everywhere. So we predict that this year with LSPs and big localization teams are going to have their own machine translation teams in-house. And yeah, thanks to the insights of Nander, Lamis, and Konstantin, we're going to share some little secrets from the industry, and I hope you will enjoy. Yeah, so to get to know you a little bit more, I'm running a little quick poll right now. Here we go. So
let's see who is in the room, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope you like the intro music. Actually, one of our guests, Lamis, she's also a music producer. So she's a machine translation specialist by day and music producer by night. And I hope you enjoyed. Next time, Nander will also play some music on the piano for you. And Konstantin will sing, of course, because he really wanted to do the intro.
Please don't. When I sing, I think glasses can break from sadness.
Yeah, I wanted to play a ukulele intro, but I'm not very good. Yeah, I started during the pandemic, you know, because I had nothing to do, so much time, so new hobby. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see there are a lot of people from translation companies, but we also...
Shall we share the results of the polling? I think it's pretty clear by now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Okay, these are the results. Almost half of you come from machine translation companies. Yeah. Okay, so you're already a professional around machine translation, basic knowledge. Yeah.
I see that today, Lamis, Nander, the people, since many of them come from the business side, are interested in what can be bought and sold about machine translation. So, Lamis, you can share what you sell, and Nander, you can share what you buy, since we have the buy side and the vendor side represented in this webinar. And we should keep it clearly understandable because half of our attendees are on basic level, but with some professional terms, only 13% are green. So this is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think we can start with the official presentations of our speakers, and I'm gonna stop the sharing. Okay, so who are these machine translation specialists? First of all, okay, we have Konstantin Dranch, who is the co-founder of Custom MT. And
hello there.
He's gonna share his insights on the industry. Then we have Nanders Pestra, he's a machine translation team lead at Infor from the Netherlands, and Lamis Medvi, also machine translation team lead at Acolat from France. And yeah, so Konstantin, if you want, the floor is yours.
Good. I will begin. And I already see that our room is overflowing. We're full to the capacity in Zoom. And we have 40 people watching on YouTube. So Carmen and Sylvia, please monitor what people say on YouTube and if any messages come in. And let me go into the presentation. All right. So quick company introduction to begin with. Let me know if everything is working perfectly, if sound and videos are okay. Custom MT is a team which works for both LSPs and for enterprise language teams. So it's a training and implementation company. We run tests to see which machine translation engine is best after training. And then we work on implementation because implementation is the most difficult part. Training can be automated. Implementation, because you work with people and with systems which break, is complex. We partner up with most of machine translation developers in the world. Some of them are server-based, some of them are cloud-based. The names are pretty familiar. I have 10 minutes, so I'll concentrate on the important part. Let me describe what we do here and how we do this. When we want to train a set of engines for the client, when we begin this, the process starts with assembling on our side a project group and on the client side project group. Usually, if it's a translation company, there's a PMs, the head of production. On our side, it's a project lead and a few technical specialists and an analyst. The client sends over translation memories, which they have accumulated over years. The translation memories typically are quite dirty. If you look with LSPs, with buyers, the same. With buyers, it's pretty straightforward. They don't need to remove anything. All the product names, all the information is there. With LSPs, it's a little bit more work. So we take a data set, which is usually 300K segments, maybe a million segments. A million is our kind of a level when things begin to get tricky. We clean it up, removing segments which have the same source, different targets, which would confuse the engine. We remove numerals, and so we keep about 70% of the translation memory, sometimes 50%, and we call this percentage of the memory which is suitable to train the engine or TMX health report. After we've prepared the data set, which is the same for every engine. We upload that data set into Google, Amazon, ProMT, Yandex, MordenMT, Globalese, Microsoft, and other engines which are interested for this project, and we train them all. Different engines train at different speed. Sometimes an engine can gain 40%, sometimes an engine gains only 2%, sometimes the engine loses in scores after we've trained it. So after completing all this account setup and training, we proceed to evaluation and do first a automated evaluation using Blur metric or H-leper metric. And then we do a human evaluation by the linguists that usually work with that company. So if it's an LSP, the LSP provides the linguist. If it's a buy-side language team, they provide the linguist. And those linguists, they score a sample of segments to see which segments need no editing, which segments need heavy editing. Based on their report, we produce an analysis dashboard which shows which editor preferred which engine. And of course, among the engines which they test, we always hide one human reference. And then we have a special page in our report which says man versus machine, because sometimes when the evaluators work and edit or score the segment, they don't know if it's a human or which of the machine engines. So they score it, sometimes human wins, Sometimes it doesn't. So, for example, we've seen for French and for Japanese, the machine beat humans, and like 1 or 2 machine translation engines would come up on top. By the number of segments, they don't need editing. But for German, Russian, this kind of language, we've seen that typically human wins. Especially if it's an inflectional language, then some editing is always required. All right, so we've tested, we've run the experiment. We know which engine is the best. Sometimes different evaluators prefer different engines, so we reconcile. And then we configure that in the CATL or TMS, which the language team is using. Sometimes it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes it's pretty difficult because of poor integration between different translation tools and the engines. Common problem, we run into quotas, right? Google Translate, if it wins, it has a very small quota on an engine which was just created. So when you try to run a pre-translation from a popular CAT tool, it usually runs into problems. But I digress. So once we've solved the technical problem of configuration, making sure it works, and you can pre-translate sizable documents, we train the team, we train the PMs first. Later, we run a LQA or MTQA report to see what types of engines which types of errors the engine is still making, and we warn the linguists, look out for these types of errors when you do your post-editing. Hand over the engine to the client, and then stay with them if something breaks down. And when they need retraining, we update and optimize the engine. Maybe it was breaking the tags, maybe some new translation memory was generated during the past quarter. So this is a kind of ongoing support. And we managed, we started doing this with a manual process. By now, we've largely automated a few of the steps. So I highlighted the steps which we automated in red, and the other steps which remain human and it's difficult to automate them are in blue. We're looking at automating the 3 steps marked in yellow. These are the sample reports that we produce, the dataset health, human evaluation, which shows in green what's the percentage of segments in sample that need no editing or need very little editing, which is the metric how we select which engine is the best. Typically, blue and human evaluation don't really correlate that much. So if you run an automated metric, it shows how close the current output is to the reference human translation. But when language moves away and there's a new reviewer, evaluator, they prefer some other stuff. So typically, human evaluation shows very different results from automated evaluation. That's something that we found. And the final report here, the third one, is the LQA or MTQA error typology. Here's how the team looks like. Of course, there is the business team, which grows business, looks for new clients, and spreads information. This is an overview of the production team that my partner Philip manages. We have project producers who are the client-facing people who solve challenges, run the team, make sure that this goes forward. Implementation is a difficult project because we have to change both systems and people, and systems are often not ready. Because we work with a big pool of systems in each project, project producers are really, really busy. They run a weekly meeting with the client, and then they have a week full of stuff to solve for that client. Lexicographers work with language, terminology. They also moonlight as project managers when they need to work with TMS, test technology. Engineers are people who automate operations. They usually know Python. They know how to run a script or create a script. They used to be the ones who created all the MT consoles and created accounts in all the MT consoles and work with this. Now we're moving to a more automated steps here. The analyst works with data because we can track metrics by segment, so we can see, okay, it took so many minutes to edit this segment. This segment was scored as perfect, but it still needed editing. So this is the person who looks into the data and deep dives to understand what is different, why this needs editing, and what can be improved. The partnership manager is the person on our team who has a part-time hat. It's not the full-time activity, but the activity to liaison with all the providers to make sure that we support them back with information. Did they win in the test? Maybe not. What's working, what's not working. The MT providers and the cattle providers, they have a lot of ground to cover right now to make machine translation engines and TMS work really well together when we're speaking about custom engines. Stock engines have been integrated long ago, but custom engines is still in the process. Okay, and finally, on the freelance basis, we employ trainers who run workshops with PMs and with linguists and subject matter experts or linguists who check machine translation quality. What we really do is solving all these problems that appear. In every project, there's usually something which goes wrong, and someone in the team, usually the engineers or PMs, they need to fix it. This is very typical. Billing problems, quota problems. Even on the right, you can see the negotiation problems with Mirai translator, who doesn't want to work with the non-Japanese company, so we need to find a way how to woo them and how to make them interested. Right, so some of the problems that we face, I'll probably skip this for now for the sake of conserving time. What's the outlook? I think that by the end of 2021, there's going to be a machine translation specialist in any LSP or buyer team worth their salt, or at least there's going to be this function, because MT, the first one to adopt it, gets the benefit. Later on, it's going to be trained, fine-tuned MT running in an automated continuous localization process. Some setups already have this, but this is in the making. So people who know MT are now in high demand, and you're interested in this profession, it's the right time to come into this profession. It's booming right now. In a few years, though, maybe 1-2 years, training will be largely automated. It will be available from cat tools. There will be a button inside your Trados or MemoQ or MemSource by the end of the year. Train my engine with my translation memory. So the manual part, which is now working with data and putting this into the console, will go away. What will the machine translation trainers do next? That's a good question. And I think there's going to be a lot of work working with people and optimizing further, understanding the data, understanding how it works, troubleshooting. What else will change is, since this is going to be automated, there's going to be a lower price per model, right? At the moment, it costs some money. In some cases, some companies charge 30,000 euros to train a model. In other companies, charge 2,000 euros or dollars to charge a model. It depends on the buyer, on the complexity of the project, geography, and so on. It's a service, so services are priced differently. But everywhere the price of the service will go down, so there'll be more models in one machine translation program. Today, you have a model for a big domain or for the whole company. Later on, there'll be models for more niche stuff, like translation memories can be niche, the same with machine translation engine. And we hope that the translation management systems will increase their readiness, and trainable, customizable MT will be easy to set up from a TMS environment. That's it for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Konstantin, for your insights and for your predictions on the market. Yeah, we already saw this year that a lot of LSPs and in-house teams are getting these machine translation specialists like T-Works or LanguageWire. And I saw that there are already some questions. If we wanna, we can keep them for the end.
Let's keep them for the end. Let's okay. Push with more presentations first. Let's push the content into the field.
Yes, sure. Okay, now let's introduce you Nander Spestra from Infor. Nander, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it.
Everything works as intended.
Yes, great. Okie dokie. So I'm going to show it from a different side. And mainly what I'm going to show you is, if it's working, yeah, there we are. The side of a large software company that does their own translations, or much of their own translations. So what I'm going to do in about 8 or 9 slides is show what Infor is, how our team looks like, what we do, what we use, and well, how you can become one of us, so to say. So first, one slide about Infor, because I think it's important to know what we normally do. So we're not a translation company. We sell enterprise software for either automotive industry, other industries, retail, food and beverage. We have a lot of different products. We have 70,000 customers, more or less, 17,000 employees. So we're a big company. So the total amount of products that we have is over 230, which means that, well, there's a lot to translate and also to document. And that is exactly what my team is doing. So these numbers are nice. This is our team. So we have a team of just over 150 colleagues that are doing documentation work. So writing the online help, for example, for the products. But also we have more than 40 linguists spread over 10 different languages. Often they're all in their native homes. So that means that our Japanese colleagues are also the Japanese translators. And because of those 230 products that we have, we translate over 100 million words per year. So you can see us as more or less a language service provider within Infor for all the different development teams that we have. So that's a lot of words, but the point is we of course have a machine translation team, which is why I'm here. And that is the main focus for now, of course. So what I'd like to show you is more or less the process that we have within documentation and localization. This is the process. So development starts working on something, creating an update or a new tool is introduced. It goes to documentation for writing the help documentation, the large sentences. It is also giving the user interface directly to the localization team so that they can start translating the user interface, because we often translate more user interfaces than documentation. And it's the localization team, of course, that we're doing the most of the work. So it's setting up the projects. We do pre-translations with the translation memories that we already have, machine translation, auto post edit scripts. I'll mention that later on as well. A review step for machine translation projects. Then, of course, it's the translation and or post editing. And we generate the output again back, going to development, and they're publishing the new version, including documentation. Normally, I'd say that within a machine translation team, the main focus is the machine translation part. However, we're doing a bunch more. Since we have the full process within our own team, we can build a lot more. So this is the process. If I look at the tools that we make, for example, and this is really hands-on and examples that we actually build and use. One of them is a content analysis tool that we built. It's a plugin for the technical writers that we have, and that is based on the Infor style guide that we have. So we have a style guide of dozens of pages stating that you shouldn't use this word, but better use this word, and avoid this type of sentence. So example below would be Infor communicates to enrolled customers via a notification. Well, the feedback here is use by or through instead of via. And in this way, we can make sure that the style is consistent within the English documentation. But of course, this also helps translation, because the more consistent the input is, the better we can train our engines, and also the more consistent the translations will be in the output. Another example is where we help in setting up stuff. So setting up projects is a very time-consuming task, especially when you have a lot of languages, for example. And for one of the projects that we have, we translate up to 35 different languages, which is a lot of work if you cannot automate any of those steps. So we also help in creating tools that actually make sure that the manual tasks are computable. Then our core is, of course, the machine translation part. That means that we maintain and create our own engines. We review the engine quality as well, of course, because that's necessary. We have our own Infor score for this because, well, as Konstantin also said, Blue, for example, doesn't work fully for us. But a combination of scores is a good indicator, at least. It's not perfect, but it's a good indicator of the quality of an engine and whether we can use it in a project. We have auto post edit scripts. The idea here is that we know that certain languages, especially translated by certain machine translation tools, give always the same kind of errors. In those APE scripts, we make sure that we fix those specific errors so that it's less post-editing work for the post-editor or translator. And of course, we also want to automate this more because, well, we currently have 21 products that we support, over 150 engines that are in production and used, which means that if we have to update those every month, then we need to have some extra colleagues doing only this as their full-time task. So that means that we, for example, also build tools that automate our tasks. So in this case, TrainMax. If anyone from Disney is here, please don't sue us. Just a funny example, but it's really the name of the tool. And the idea is that TrainMax is simply used to check which engines should be updated or are a bit outdated, and it will automate them, automatically update them. So in short, what tools do we use then? Because that's something that I saw in the questions as well, or in the survey. Our basic tool is MemoQ for the translators and the project managers. For us as machine translation team, we highly use Globalease. That's our main machine translation system. And there where Globalease doesn't work optimally for us because we don't have enough data, for example, we use DeepL. Development, what do we actually use as a team? That's really difficult to state because everyone is doing more or less something different. So the content analysis tool for the writers is in Java. It's a Java plugin. The automation tools for our other colleagues are Windows tools in C#, and all backend and API stuff that we write is in Python. So well, you have to at least know one of those languages to be able to work on this. And of course, for the rest, we're a development team using Jira, wiki pages for team information, and daily stand-ups and one-to-one sessions. In that sense, we're more than just a machine translation team, but more a development team as well. Then exactly how my team looks, and that is that what I want is that everyone is be able to do everything that we need to do in our team, so that if someone gets sick or leaves the company, that others can take over. However, everyone has a specialty, meaning in this case, for example, everyone knows how the tools work and should be able to fix any bugs that are in there or add a feature. However, we have one developer focusing on that content analysis tool. There's another one focusing most on the engines and the evaluation or automation. Testing is a really important thing that often is overlooked. We have a dedicated person, not only working on testing, but mostly working on testing. And in this way, I think we can divide and conquer the tools or the problems that we see. Well, as I said before, how then can you become one of us? Well, this is very generic. And the reason for it is that my team and also how I started 5 years ago is as graduates, meaning that you don't have any experience in the field itself. There are two things that are the top and the bottom one. So that's the sandwich structure where you should be able to communicate. It's really important for us as well. So if we get back from our translators that the quality is bad, that means that we have to either fix it or not use it, our engine for that specific product language combination anymore. You have to be critical at your own work and other ones' works as well. And of course, it's necessary that you can code. Language knowledge is also really important. However, that's the second step because, yeah, basically we're a software development team where people also build those auto post edit scripts, but those auto post edit scripts are written also with a lot of help from our linguists. So we do not always need to have that knowledge ourselves. And then as last slide, the outlook. I think one of the most important things that we need to see is that the one doesn't exist. So that means that there is no one MT system working the best. For example, we found out that Microsoft works best for one of the projects and Google for one of the others, well, then we should use multiple. There's always post-editing after null machine translation in our case. Machine translation, you cannot rely on it fully, and we need to, it's a service what we provide to our customers, documentation and translation, so it needs to be perfect. And therefore we always need a linguist. And as said, because we have so many products, we have so many different processes that we have, that there is no one best process. And one of the most important things for us is that we are flexible. The two main words for the next year, I think, are data and automation. Data first. It's really important to have more data. There's more open source data coming in. I saw Salesforce opening some of their data, I think a few weeks or months back. That's really helpful, and that will improve our current engines, but also give us the opportunity to add new engines and language pairs. And the other word is automation, because everything is going faster, especially in the software company world. We're having agile translation cycles because we have agile development cycles. Every month, the product is updated, which means that the user interface needs to be updated. And intentionally, also the help needs to be updated. So automation is one of the keywords for the future from our side. And that's a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nander. Thank you. I really like the part where you talked about the tools you developed and for sharing how the machine translation team works at Infor. And also, I hope that many students will be inspired to become a machine translation specialist in the future. Thank you. Yeah. Now, please welcome on to the stage Lamis Medmi from Accolade.
Hello,
Directly
everyone.
from Paris.
Yes, sir. I will share the presentation. And thank you, Nander. Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Bear with me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good time while we have the pause to hit us with some questions in a Q&A. And Nander, while Lamis is preparing, I just have one question. So you talked about what you build in-house. What do you buy? Everyone was interested in like services and stuff which is bought and sold around machine translation. In your
Exactly
case,
what we saw. So that means that we have a MemoQ for the translation environment and DeepL and Globalease as the services. So we have a local setup for Globalease. We have our own server running globally, so we can have our own data. So no stock engines in that sense, only our custom setup. For DeepL, that's not possible, of course. So that's only the cloud version, and that's basically it. We don't we make everything ourselves.
Not much, right? You only buy people and tools.
Yes. Yep.
And economic setup.
Okay, can you see my screen with the...
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it works.
Oh, okay. Is the slide changing now?
Everything's good. Yeah. You're good
Great.
to go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I'm Lamis Medmi. I'm the machine translation team leader at Accolade. And I'm here today to tell you a little bit about not managing machine translation team, but I prefer leading machine translation team here at Accolade. And I will share with you the challenges that we have, structure of the team, and the tools that we created and we try to improve and work on.
Lamis, if you'd like, I can run it for you. I have your presentation copy.
Yeah, I think there is an issue with.
Okay,
with
I'll run it for you. Just
yes,
tell me when you want the next slide.
Oh, okay.
All right, there we go.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so a quick presentation of Accolade. So Accolade is the European leader in language services with over 2,000 people now, and it's part of the 10 worldwide players with more than 6,000 clients in 2021. You can move to the next slide, please. So the group is located in 25 countries across 3 continents and distinguishes itself by its multi-local market approach. So we have a strong partnership with over 18,000 professional translators and learning professionals, all of whom are highly trained specialists, and thanks to whom we support our clients with a wide range of languages and learning services for all industries and sectors, including translation, localization, interpretation, and even language training and e-learning. Okay, the team. Okay, let me tell you more about my team. So we have 3 types of profiles, ranging from pure NLP developers who will create the tools and automations, to machine translation specialists who have more deep knowledge of the localization industry and machine translation, and who act as representatives of our stakeholders. We also have technical project managers. Well, today we have only one, but in the future we will probably have more. And our technical project manager test and use the NLP products and that are created, and so will more use these as a service to answer our client needs and to help create the products that our clients need. And I will tell you more about this just after. Okay, so these are the needs of a machine translation team today in an LSP environment. Basically, we receive a lot of requests from our customers, and the team makes sure that we provide all support and tools to answer these requests. So we need machine translation solutions. So for example, we have customers who want machine translation solutions to be implemented, generic machine translation solutions with generic machine translation providers that you all know, I don't know, like DeepL, Google, Microsoft, etc. And we have other customers who would rather prefer to have customized machine translation engines that are more tailored to their content and terminology and style, etc. So we make sure to answer these needs by creating the tools to train these neural machine translation models, by monitoring and improving quality and recommendation over time. And also we make sure that we have on the LSP side, the tools and processes related to machine translation in general. So it's not also a secret for anyone, I guess, that the technology is improving very fast today. So technology watch is not an option here for us. We make sure to really keep up to date with the latest technology and provide this latest technology to our clients and to our vendors. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, how the team, how I try to lead the team, how I try to make sure that the process is always perfect and fluid and maintained. Well, actually, I'm really happy to work today with neural machine translation experts and passionates with different backgrounds. So my role is to empower my team to reach our objectives and to reach our vision and make sure that every day they wake up and are happy to come to work. If we can meet these objectives while learning new things every day and feel and make sure that they feel empowered, that really what keeps me not up at night, but on the contrary, what helps me sleep well at night. So I make sure that there is an effective collaboration, a fluid communication, and mutual trust between the team members. We try and also make sure that there is a continuous improvement in our processes. So we are really, even if we are the machine translation team, we don't work alone. We really work with the rest of the many teams in the company, with the vendors, with project managers, with our sales team and clients, and try to listen as much as possible to their feedback and implement and improve quality in production. So we are in the middle, but it's a whole ecosystem that we try to keep up with. Okay, quick presentation about the tools, even if Konstantin and Anders said many things about neural machine translation solutions. Basically, for these customers who want to use on-the-shelf solutions, we would collect relevant client data. We would perform quality evaluation for the customer content and the language pair using several machine translation providers. We would basically run translations using these providers and calculate automatic scores, pick the best ones, and then run human evaluations to make sure that we select the best engine for our customer and that we correctly estimate quality. Please. So for customers who are more looking for a more customized engine, we created this pipeline and tools to make this possible for them. So we have tools that would process the data to clean the data from everything that would harm the training model, the training data set. The data would be split into two sets, the training set and the test set. And the test set needs always to be different from the training set if you want really to evaluate the quality of the engine. And then we perform data augmentation algorithms in order to add more data to the model and improve the quality. After training, we would run evaluation of the quality and monitoring this quality, the quality over time, and retrain the engines, of course. What we are investigating now and what we want to do more in the future is to derive insights from the post-edited data. So we are starting to look into machine learning models, either for text classifications and quality estimations, etc., to better predict the quality and provide better quality for our linguists to post-edit. And we also try to make sure in our internal tools to capture real-time feedback from our post-editors to improve the MC quality over time. Yeah. So regarding the tools that we use really in the team, I didn't here mention project management tools like Jira or Confluence, etc. It's rather regarding the development part and also the use, how we use these tools. So for NLP tools, we use Python, SQL, C++, with different frameworks or libraries, etc., to analyze the data and to train our engines. So we use Spacey, we use GitHub to collaborate internally with the development. We also use databases such as Snowflake and MongoDB to extract real post-editing data and insights from them. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Lamis. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, that was very detailed and technical. Lamis, so I'll kick off the questions, Carmen, if you don't mind, and we should, of course, receive all the questions from the floor. Yeah. So your team is about 6 people these days, and mostly development. Do you see growth in the number of MT NLP professionals that you hire? By the end of the year, will be at 10 or 20? What do you think?
We are already growing because we acquired at Accolade. We acquired lately Amplexor, so the team is already growing. I will have more to share in the next webinar.
Good. What's the most weird request lately, or more interesting request that you got from the buyer side? What did they want, which was surprising or unusual?
We have clients that expect machine translation quality output to be perfect for all domains and language pairs. I would say this is a challenge we have today to how to help them decide on the best post-editing level that they choose for their content. So one of them weird, a fun fact, like, what do I have?
Text generation, bots, some kind of classification.
I think we have like requests on really difficult language pairs for machine translation, and clients expect high discount. But the good part of it is that they really listen to our advice when we provide read data to explain that this is not possible. We rather advise you to do this or that. So yeah.
Excellent. Carmen, let's hit the questions. Read out the question or suggest which of the attendees can be allowed to talk. Maybe someone wants to say the question and join us in the discussion, and let us know who answers.
Okay, we have the first question from Joseph Kovalov. He says, what about tags? I think it's regarding your presentation. Should they be cleaned out from the parallel data?
Depends on the engine. Most engines, they eat tags, but not all of them. We typically don't clean up tags, train the engines, and the one that eats tags better is the winner. To be honest with you, right? Some other people might want to clean tags and completely organize the corpora. If we're going, for example, for an engine which is a server-based because we need security, they want it on their computer, and they don't want tags, then we can clean up the tags and go through this extra operation preparation.
Yes, so the next question is, why do you use leper and not any other metric?
We use Blue and leper. I think we're having too many questions to me, so we should go around and maybe ask some next question to Nander or Alamis. Popular metrics. Automated only gives us some perspective. We believe more in human evaluation. Since most of our clients train engines to a higher level of quality because they want to do less manual work. So human evaluation gives us a better perspective. What is the engine which is more accepted by linguists? What is the engine that needs less editing? We have a metric on edit effort, cognitive effort, which we calculate by number of keystrokes and the time needed to edit 100 segments. And this is the metric which we trust for post-editing, right? And automated metrics, all right, maybe there exists a magical holy grail of metrics which would provide the super accurate automated assessment. We don't really believe in it. Maybe we haven't seen Nander's magical invention yet. But for now, Blue and Repo is enough. It's popular, people recognize it, and then we just go on to a human evaluation where the winner is decided.
Yeah, can I add to this? Because
yes.
I think it also differs with what you translate. So in our case, we're translating often documentation or user interface, which are short sentences, pretty neat styles. So the style guide is very transparent, so you know how to document and also how to translate, which means that we don't translate poetry. So in poetry, I can see that Blue is a horrible score because, well, you lose all freedom in your translations. But in our case, it doesn't. So that's the reason why in our Infor score, we also use leper and Blue because, they are pretty close to how we need to translate our software. So, and then it helps. So if we were doing literature translation, for example, then I would probably come up with other scorings.
One of the weirdest requests we had recently was, not weird, but interesting, let's say interesting, Carmen, was the one to make machine translation engine to translate telenovelas, to take a bunch of TV scripts and make it into parallel corpus and then try to translate telenovelas using machine translation engine. So that was a fantastic request. We were really interested in what would come out of this. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, they didn't come to an actual business project, but we'll see how it develops later this year. I think it will be a terrific case study. What is the accuracy of machine translation when you try to translate a telenovela?
I think telenovelas need, a lot of emotion, passion, so it's very hard. Yeah. Okay, another question. So for Lamis, do you have any details about data augmentation, please? From Reinhard.
Yes, what I can tell you about data augmentation is that we select from public corpora, all by segments that are similar to the training set that we have for our clients. So we focus on similarity to extract these by segments and add them to our training sets.
Lamis, I heard from Omniscient a couple of years ago that you manufacture data. They would take a sentence, then run it through a model, which gives us different cases, different plurals, singulars, that kind of thing. Is it also something that you do?
What do you mean by manufacturing, Konstantin? I'm not sure to...
Let's say you have a phrase, she went to buy coffee. And so you run it through a model, it creates a new sentence. He went to buy coffee. They went to buy coffee. It just creates new segments from very little data, using all the cases, plurals, nouns. It can change coffee to, I don't know, cigarettes. I don't smoke, but it's a poor example. Compact discs, or Lamis's electronic music on SoundCloud. Right? You can manufacture a lot of data from having very little in this approach and try to train an engine. I think Iconic at some point also advertised this approach. Do you see any commercial application for this right now?
I remember I heard about this. Yeah, it's basically creating new content that's really similar to what you already have. We don't do that. We rely on other methodologies, but it's worth to test and see how it goes. Yeah.
We don't do it either.
We don't do it either.
Nander, do you do that sometimes?
Actually, I tested with this. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was on a conference. Someone actually who did this for a paper, and it was actually pretty interesting to see if it helped. And yes, back then it actually helped us to make certain engines viable. However, after 2 extra translations, we noticed that there was enough data from the translators themselves that was, well, giving better scores than what we had, but it was an intermediate step for several of our engines, and it worked pretty well. But the problem with this is that it needs to be done by the machine translation team, and here for this you really need to have language knowledge. So that's why I did this only for a few Dutch engines, because my Japanese or Vietnamese isn't very good, so it only worked for Dutch in this case. But yeah, it's really helpful if you can have the staff to do it, and yes.
Okay, there's another question very good question from Alfredo for Nander and Lamis. Do you try to optimize the source content? So do you do interventions on the source text when doing machine translation?
We at Infor, we do. So normally not if it comes from the development team, because normally it comes from development first and then we translate something. So I already explained, for documentation we already do with that content analysis tool, but we do have some teams that actually work agile as translators with the writers and the developers themselves, simply stating, hey, if you use this word in the software instead of this word, we don't have to translate it again in 20 different languages. So yeah, sometimes we actually do, and I hope that we're going to do this more in the next couple of years.
I guess that's the advantage you have, Nander, to have
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
You create the content. We don't have that advantage. We have to adapt to what our clients send us, and basically we don't optimize the source content now, because we don't touch what we receive from our clients, and we really want the target text to be to be exactly like the source segment, right? But I'm very jealous for Nander, and we wish all our clients had this machine translation acumen.
I heard of a study in Germany to actually quantify if you can run a model or a human task on a source content and then run it through a machine translation engine, what is the feasibility, right? Because if you prepare the source text, then you need less effort to post-edit it, because machine translation will work better. And the study's outcome was that at the moment it barely breaks even. It's not profitable, or it doesn't change in a big way, but you have to add a step in the process. So interesting. You can go for maybe a simplified technical English or something like this if you're doing manuals, but because of low automation level there, no neural network which translates from technical English to simplified technical English in a good way, it's not yet a process that you can easily apply and get big big savings. So no big point. Let's just make the translators post edit a little more.
Okay, we have another question for all the speakers. So if we're talking about quality metrics, what would be considered a good achievement in terms of post-editing score after an engine training?
Nander, you exhaled. You go first.
Yeah, that's a good question. I already figured this would come during this webinar. Yeah, as I said before, I think this really differs between the things that you translate. So in our case, it's easier to use the blue score than when you're doing telenovelas. However, what I hope in the future is that there will become more a score that we can rely on if it it's not really for us. So this is a question that maybe is better for Lamis or Konstantin. But I think for us, the only major step would be if there would be some kind of a neural machine learning method, a neural network that could actually do this and make that step to have a statistics that looks like what humans are doing. But yeah, we barely know how neural networks actually work. We do something with a neural network and then check the outcome, but we have no idea what the neural network itself is doing. So that means that I don't rely on those scores at all. I rather use blue in my examples.
Okay, for me it's easy. The answer: we don't do post editing. So we do a theoretical calculation during the evaluation stage. We measure how fast the editors go with the sample. And the numbers are very high. I would say they're fantastically high if it's a good engine. It can go above 1,500 words per hour. But this is theoretical, right? In a practical scenario, 3.5 pages instead of 1 page per hour is the increase that I typically hear of from the buyers that they get, right? If a translator works without MT, that's 1 page per hour, 1.2 maybe. So you can do 8-10 pages a day. In words, that would be what? Let's say 2,500 words. With machine translation post-editing with a good engine, you can easily triple that amount or even more. That's what we see. Would be interesting to accumulate more statistics. Lamis, maybe you have better and deeper insights into the subject.
Well, regarding evaluation and quality estimation, I guess we all try to do our best to evaluate the quality before production. In Accolade, we are also using and testing different metrics and comparing them with human evaluation to see if there are any correlations. What are the best metrics that can be used? If there are a combination of metrics, it's a big topic. It's an important topic, and I think we are just starting, and I'm looking forward to more papers regarding this. And by the way, we at Accolade, we participated in the European EMT conference last year about machine translation evaluation. So check it out if you want to know more about what we do.
Carmen, I think we're arrived at the end of the hour. So if you want, we can either go with the last question or wrap up. I think we had a very productive discussion. Let me know.
Yeah, there is.
Do we have one last good question?
For Lamis. So do you inform your clients that badly written documents may be unsuitable for machine translation?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do.
That was a good answer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for participating today. I hope you enjoyed. As the next step, please participate in the upcoming AMTA conference. I'll advertise the Association for Machine Translation Americans MT Summit, which will take place in the second part of the year. There's a call for papers going on. If you have something interesting to share with the community, now's the time to come forward and put a paper in there. We remain at your disposal on the vendor side. Lamis and I, of course, will happily train engines for you. And Nander, I guess you're hiring, are you? To some extent.
Unfortunately, we don't. I do think that we had some applications for new linguists, but well, I'm not sure if that's if they're still open.
Well, you can probably exchange more information with MT professionals. I think we broached a really interesting subject matter today. It's the first webinar I hear of that discusses how MT teams work and how this new industry is emerging. So thank you very much for speaking with us today. Carmen, thank you for leading your first webinar with such confidence.
Thank you. It was such an honor. Thank you. Thank you to all the audience who joined us. Thank you so much.
Well, this is it. Ciao. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Ciao. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.